That's not a great way to open a thing. I don't know what is. The huge, ancient paintings were beautiful. The tour guide led us through a small room. Oh, she said in passing. And these are all the paintings from not Italy. And over here, and she was gone. The rest of the group shuffled through, barely glancing at these, the inferior paintings. I was dragging along in the back, as always, trying to give each work the attention it deserved without getting lost. And after everyone had rushed through this tiny room in between two huge galleries, I stopped. The room itself was small, and the walls weren't white like the rest of the museum. It had this amazing painted ceiling, but so did many other rooms. I went around the room, politely raising my eyebrows to each painting in turn, as if inviting them to speak up. Only one did. I stopped and devoured this painting's every tiny detail like nothing I had seen that day, wondering what had attracted me so strongly to this one. It was neither huge nor tiny. At first I thought maybe it was because it prominently featured a black character, because that was something I'd seen maybe twice in that day of hundreds of paintings. Then again, maybe it was the composition, or the strangely prescient use of perspective. It must be more recent than the others. I checked the little card, and I found that not only was it from the same time period as the rest, it was by one of my artistic idols, Albrecht Durier, which I probably just murdered his name. I remembered reading about cross-hatching as a kid, and as the example they had one of Duyer's woodcuts, and a short bio about how he was obsessed with the details and how most of his most famous works were rendered in ink on paper and weren't much bigger than my hand. Reading this as a kid, I felt really connected to this old world artist. I drew like everyone, but all of my drawings were so small and detailed in black lines on white paper, and this famous artist had taken that and elevated it, had turned what I considered the most inelegant expression into a serious art form. Once I knew who the artist was, I realized what attracted me so strongly to this painting. It wasn't the subject matter or the perspective, it was how clear everything was. The detail, how there was a story happening in every little part. And thinking about it later, I realized that all my favorite art has that same sort of truth to it, and that same sort of clarity of thought and execution. Since then, it has been my goal to imbue the things I make with that ideal of detail and truth and clarity, so that maybe someday, something I make will inspire some kid the way Durier inspired me. Someday.